Okay, so we're gonna shoot a short video here on how to wire up and program Ventra Pro to our new 54-inch VFD fan. So we'll start here at the VFan, and one of the things that I want to note is that our incoming power, our either 220 or 3-phase, whichever you may have, is coming in at a different location than our signal wires that go to the control. So we'll start here. The VFD is programmed from factory, and it is programmed for a 2-wire setup. The 2-wire setup would mean one for a 0 to 10 volt operational for the variable speed, and one set of wires for the enable disable function, or to turn it on and off, so to speak. So if we zoom in here and on the VFD, and you can see that we have a 220 hookup in this case. So we have L1 and L2 used. So that is our power coming into the VFD to run the fan. And then we also have a second set of wires, signal wires. And on this VFD, we've used the 1 and the 2, the 6 and the 7. The 1 and the 2 are the enable disable, and the 6 and the 7 are the 0 to 10 volt. So notice we have the black and the white in this particular setup on the 1 and the 2. 6 and the 7 are green and yellow. So now if we jump over to the control, you're going to see that we have the enable disable set up on channel 16. If I open the controller, you can see that I have my black and my white wire going down and hooked into channel 16. So that is my enable disable. The yellow and the green wire I have hooked up to the output board, and that is wired into channel 2 on this particular controller. So the enable disable allows us to manually override the fan off, in auto, or in the on position. The on position, as long as it's below the temperature that we have set in here for the fan to operate, it will still turn on, but it'll still turn on at the lowest RPM available to run. So the VFD is set to only run at, if it runs at too low of a speed, then it's not going to move enough air to even work as a fan. So we have it pre-programmed that it'll only run at, as you'll see it on the screen, it'll say 299. So if I turn it to the on position, I'm going to see that my fan runs currently. My fan is running between 299 and 300, the RPM that it's running at. I'm going to turn it back to, now also notice that my current temperature right now is 58.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to turn this to the off position. Now let's remember, it was currently at 58 degrees. So now I'm going to go into the actual settings for the, okay, so I'm going to go into device and equipment settings. I'm going to press enter, and now I'm looking at the VFD settings. You cannot go into the VFD settings by hitting the hotkey for the 16. If I hit, since it's the enable disable is hooked into channel 16, if I hit the hotkey, there is nothing programmed there, and there cannot be anything. If we program the VFD fan from there, it will not run. The VFD fan has to be programmed through the variable output channel, which is this board. So it operates through this board. Now, to program this fan to run, this controller is considered mod 1 or module 1. The main control is module 1. We are adding a second module to this board. This controller, this board right here, is mod 2. It's module 2. So whenever you're programming a VFD fan, mod 1 is where you would normally put all these devices. We have to program it to mod 2. So as we go back to, so by hitting my hotkey, my VFD fan is not on mod 1, it is on mod 2. So I'm going to go into my control settings. I'm going to scroll over until I get to device and equipment settings. I'm going to press enter. And in this case, the first thing that pops up is my VFD sidewall fan group 1. So if I scroll down through here, I can see that I can pick whatever sensors I want to use. So you can pick from sensor 1, sensor 2, or all. My operating mode, in this case, it's a cool fan. My on temp and off temp. Now, if you remember, my off temp is 60 degrees. So below 60 degrees, this fan will not turn on its own. But when I hit the manual on, since it was at 58 degrees, the fan still runs, but it runs only at the minimum allowable amount because it is below my actual set point of my runtime. If I turn this fan to the auto position, it does nothing. The reason it does nothing is because my actual working temperature is below 60 degrees. It's 57.4 is my actual working temperature. And my on temp is 70 degrees. So this fan will not come on until it hits 70 degrees, and then it goes off at 60 degrees. These are programmable based off of the temperature that you want your barn to run at. The fan on settings, that should always be at 1. Power ramping. So my power starts ramping at 70 degrees. So when my fan gets to 70 degrees, or my inside temperature gets to 70 degrees, my fan is going to turn on, and this is when it's going to start ramping as the temperature increases above 70 degrees. My full power temp at 100 degrees, this fan is going to be running at full power, full speed, full RPM. So this fan is set right now to run under temp only. Now, if you put this in as a min vent and cool fan, then you would also have the availability to run a min vent timer on it as well. This is set to run during an exit of tunnel, and it is going to be used as a proportional control for the inlets. It's just the way this is set up. My control voltage is 0 to 10 volts. So this is actually, we can change this to 10 to 0 or 0 to 10. Make sure it's 0 to 10 volts when you're setting this fan up for this VFD fan. The power relay, so we are using, for the power relay, to enable, disable, we are using mod 1, remember this controller, channel 16, which is the channel that we're tying this to run this. And we are back to the beginning of the use sensors. So remember that as we're setting up, we go into system setup, we go down to, we're going to list a control device. We go in here to list a control device. We're going to scroll down through to see what is in here, and you see that my VFD sidewall fan is added to module 2, which is this added on board, channel 2, which is the second channel on that board. So that is, if we do not have this programmed, the fan will not run. So this has to be programmed on this module with that secondary wire. So the 2-wire system is one set of wires goes to the out 0 to 10 output board, and the other wire goes to the enable disable, which is one of your channels here. I hope that helps you understand how to wire and set up a VFD fan in the Ventra Pro. Thank you for joining.